This Week in 40K.
Good morning, 40K. It's Colin and Billy back for another Tuesday, and we've got our show called This Week in 40K, where we're going to spend an hour telling you everything you need to know about 10th and 9th edition that happened in the last week, because that's the name of the show, This Week in 40K. If you didn't figure that out, I'll just reiterate, 1 hour this week. But the exciting thing today, more than anything else, is that Billy's back.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to be back. Well, the reason that I'm
but Billy's back,
and also well, I'm very punchy. Is that as anyone who's been listening for a while knows, my wife was pregnant and now no longer is pregnant for the good reason. I have a daughter. She showed up 2 weeks early. We went in for an appointment just to do routine monitoring, expecting for the delivery date to be this past weekend. And we're told, nope, your blood pressure is too high. You're coming back in at 9 o'clock tonight, and we're going to induce you, and you're going to have a baby. And that was unexpected, and we had not unpacked or prepared anything, which is exactly how two type A type people want to go into having a baby. But we did it. It's wonderful. My daughter Olivia is a delight. Knock on all of the wood. I have been assured by everyone that she is one of the actual cute babies, because not all babies are cute, and
True.
I would have accepted it if she weren't, but people do assure me that she is. But you don't really sleep for the first couple of weeks. And because I'm a good husband, I really didn't sleep last night. So coffee. Yeah. Good times.
And you're going to work today after not sleeping, just so we're clear.
Yes.
Okay.
Work from home. So there will be a nap somewhere in there. I just don't know when.
How long will that nap be?
I'll set an alarm and we'll see.
Are you a power napper, or are you gonna rock it?
No, so like a 15-minute nap will actually rejuvenate me. But there's science behind sleep cycles being 3 hours. So I like to either go about 15 minutes or 3 hours. And I don't think 3 hours is going to be realistic. So we'll try to just shove some 15-minuters in there. It's good times.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to have a REM cycle in an hour. So I usually tell people an hour is good for napping. 3 hours to me, I mean, not in your situation, but 3 hours to me would be like, I've decided not to sleep tonight. I'm going to sleep 3 hours this afternoon and then not tonight, is what my brain would think I've done.
Fair. Yeah, no. Again,
Thank you for giving me 3 hours of sleep. Let's go. What's that?
2 hours of sleep last night leads to my body would accept any amount right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Our top story.
What's our top story today, Mr. Billy of the Sleep?
Our top story is that this is the last episode of this show before games of 10th edition are played in the wild. This coming weekend at Warhammer Fest, and I believe it's Manchester, UK, they will play 10th edition in the wild. And I have to assume most, if not all, of the rules are going to be available somehow. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate that. I will admit I've been absent from the discourse for 2 weeks, but I have yet to see something coming out in 10th that doesn't excite me.
Oh, yeah.
There are things that like I might tweak minorly, but everything seems to be moving in a direction that aligns with where my fun is and eliminating a lot of the frustrations I think that exist broadly in the community. So I'm just excited for that. Thoughts?
There you go. I did the way you did earlier. No.
Thank you for
no, I'm hype. I'm super hype. I was actually feeling about a month ago. I was in a really bad spot personally. We're not going to talk about that. I have another show to talk about that. And I thought for a moment, man, I just don't want to play 40K. I'm not excited about it. I just don't want to play it. And like literally an hour later, Games Workshop's like, here's some more stuff on 10th edition. And my brain went, God, you're silly. Back we go. It was really a funny thing. The 10th edition got me extremely hype when I was feeling very down. So yeah, all in. I haven't seen anything I'm not excited about. Last week we talked with Mr. Lennon. We had Bertel last week. Yeah, and we talked
Lenin
about the
was
10th
first.
edition. What's that? Oh, yeah,
Isn't it
Lenin was
Portal
last
first
week.
and- Yeah.
Yeah. And Lennon and I talked about Universal Special Rules, and I thought he was just getting more and more excited as we talked about them. So I think it's great.
Just the right direction. I understand, but disagree with why they killed them way back when they killed them. They tried to do something else. It's just the wheel. You don't need to reinvent it. It is the better mousetrap.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving it back to us.
I think the only thing that came out this week, you probably know this because this is part of what you do for the show, but it seems like the only thing that came out this week about 10th edition was transports. Is that right?
And
or am I
terrain.
forgetting or something? And what?
Terrain rules. Sort of.
Oh, yeah, terrain rules. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I have on my list is terrain rules are first, so we can talk about terrain rules first.
I'll save my Land Raider enthusiasm for a little bit.
Okay. Well, no, you talked about your Land Raider enthusiasm. Go into your Land Raider enthusiasm.
No. We're going to talk about terrain. It's first on the agenda, and we are an organized, polished machine that does this every Tuesday morning.
Absolutely.
So tell us about terrain rules, Mr. Sleepy.
So the big thing that they revealed is how cover works now. So for those of you who have played as long as I have, you're going to have to learn a new thing for what cover is. But I actually think that this is this strikes me as a smart way to attack the problem of cover as it's existed for the past several editions. So if you have the benefit of cover, and you can get in a bunch of different ways, which read the article, it tells you about, but you get the benefit of cover, you get +1 to your save throw, but no better than a 3+. So you can't get a 2+, you can't get a 1+, you can't get a 0+, you can't get a -1+, and then have all that argument. It's just you get to a 3. And that's a good amount because there's so many things because going from a 3 to a 2 is a 50% increase or 100% increase, depending on which way you think about it, in overall survivability. It's massive. And too many things that are balanced around dying a third of the time, going to dying a sixth of the time, really can screw with power levels of armies. Yep. This stops that from happening. Now, I'm sure there are some unforeseen consequences that until we play with it, we're not going to know about. But it strikes me as a very intelligent, thoughtful way to attack this problem.
Yeah, I think, there's two things there that I think are keyed in. One of which is the core default weapons in the game. Now, I've been an Imperium player a long time, so forgive me here, but my brain thinks that like the default 40k weapons are las rifle / autogun, which are the same basically, and bolters. To me, those are the iconic. Like Chaos has bolters, Marines all have bolters, lots of people have las gun, autogun style guns, and none of that has AP on it today. And I don't think they're adding AP to it because they're mostly reducing AP from the game, is what they've said, and we've seen that some in the data sheets that we've seen. So if they're going to reduce AP and you want the default guns to do something, you have to make this change. Because one of the reasons why I don't like bolters is that they don't have AP and people stand in cover and get a 2-up, and then you're only doing damage 1/6 of the time after you only wounded on a particular amount and after you only hit on a particular amount. And it's just, there's too much math backing you in the face there. Just whap, 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 the math in the face. And so it doesn't work today for me. So my two thoughts are that AP is reducing, and that makes this important. Because you can't have a 0-up save and cover if people don't have the AP to deal with it. And I also think these train rules are simpler.
But yes, broadly, yes. So benefit of cover is a capitalized term. It's defined and it's used consistently. And lawyer brain me has been arguing for that for a very long time. Define your terms, use them consistently. Everyone's life is better. Completely agree with that. The one thing that is new, like really new, and the thing that gives me some anxiety is the plunging fire rule from ruins. And this is if a model in a ruin is 6 inches higher than ground level, you improve the AP by 1. Now, in a vacuum, that's fine. In context, 40K has never handled the Z-axis well, and I worry about that. I am hopeful that they have considered that and have rules around the Z-axis to make it better.
Logan's taking you.
But like, for example,
Sorry.
how does no, that's fine. How does a 5-inch move model get 6 inches up? I just want to know, does it have to advance?
Yeah.
Just make sure you get your Z-axis rules right, because I've never had the Z-axis come up in a game and not had it have some weird implication.
Right. There's two things that I like to say about this. The first one is, remember Smash Captains?
Yes.
When they could land on a piece of terrain because it was 9 inches of true distance away, but then you have true distance, angled distance. And then instead you had to measure flat. So on a triangle, you're measuring the long side and you're using the short side for measurement. And so there would be situations where a Smash Captain would have to make a 3-inch charge because it just didn't, the rules didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing thing, though. They don't know how to deal with this. You're right. My thing that's so interesting is today, no one goes up in terrain for me. I don't ever see people up in terrain.
No,
never, ever, 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 ever. I don't see people on the second floor. I don't see people on the third floor. Everyone's at ground level, and I would love to see that change because I've played for a long time, and to me, it's iconic to have like 5 TAC Marines, or Primaris Marines now, I guess, like on the second story of a building, just shooting bolters at people. I think that's great. And so I hope that becomes more of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yep. I hope the rules work. Let's call out what John says here. Tio's just saying second floor counts as plunging fire. I know a lot of places in this edition with obscuring terrain needing to be 6 inches tall have just said this counts as 6 inches for rules purposes. Maybe you do that, but again, if you do that, it has to count as 6 inches for movement. There are fun ramifications of the way the rule is written, and I just hope they got it right. It's literally the first thing that has got me anxious of what I've seen.
Wow. By the way, did you see that John, our buddy John, added a picture to his profile? So now when we bring him up to talk, people can see who he is. So he's going to help us make him famous. I think that's great.
Lovely man. Man. Better 40K player than I am by the results by far. So I will listen to what he says, just as I listen to what you say. But the thing you really want to talk about are land raiders. So
Well, I do want to share a concern I do want to share a concern that the rules didn't talk about obscuring.
The ruins thing did. Give me a second to pull it back up. There was something about how basically ruins are now obscuring the way that they are now.
Okay. My mistake then. Oh, we've lost Billy for the moment. His technology has failed him. I will talk about land raiders. Oh, he's still trying. Technical difficulties. Okay. So they talked about how transports work. And they clarified that everyone can get out of transports. Oh, you're back, Billy. You lost internet. You lost technology for a moment there.
Yeah.
Yes, they talked about transports, and they said that you can get out after a transport, but you can't charge.
Yeah.
And that is great, honestly. I think that's great. Being able to charge out of a transport's a real problem because a lot of vicious close combat units, the only balance on them is that it's hard for them to get to you. That's the only thing that you have to save you from that unit. I don't want a game where rhinos full of corn berserkers drive up to my face and the corn berserkers get out and charge into my deployment zone on turn 1. That's not great. So I understand why they made that change. I do. I think that's great, though. It makes transports way better. Today, a lot of transports never get taken. They're overcosted, and the army doesn't function well with them. You see rhinos, but you don't see wave serpents. You don't see land raiders. You don't see lots of other vehicles that have transport capacity. Yeah. So I'm really hyped for them to make them better because I think they're an iconic part of the game. But what I'm really interested in is that land raiders, Terminators and land raiders can charge after they get out. And that is very exciting. I would like to see a Land Raider, drive up and then do the power slide like the Tokyo Drift, and then like open the door and the Terminators get out and they're running forward with their hammers. That's great, because the two things that I think of, like if you said when you think of Space Marines, what are the top 5 things you think about? Terminators and Land Raiders are both in the 5. Like they're just the iconic things. And I've played competitively in 3 editions, and I have seen one Land Raider on the table in hundreds of tournament games, and that one Land Raider was played very badly.
Yeah.
So, no, 2. I can think of another one. So no one's playing with them, and I would like them to. So I hope that this is them making Land Raiders good. That's what I'm excited about.
I can endorse all of those things, including the fact that they have been played badly. I've been around 40K for many Bortels. I don't think Land Raiders have ever really been a good option.
Now, come on, you have to use the Bortel time frame correctly. If you use it wrong, it's confusing.
I think
many Bortels is not possible for you.
I'm at 1.5. I think I'm 1.5 Bortels.
30 years in 40K?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Actually a little bit more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I do not think there's ever been a time that I've been in 40K where Land Raiders were good. There have been times where they were not horrible. But anytime you put a Land Raider on the table, other than Epic, you are probably not making an optimized choice.
I do still have my little painted Land Raider Epic guys, because they're just adorable.
They're so tiny.
Yeah. There's the little guard tank from Forge World that's in 40K. Always makes me think of Epic when I see it.
Yeah. The only thing I will add is that it is likely it's not just Terminators that can go into the Land Raider. Those Wolfen that Space Wolf players are playing with. I don't know. 10 Wolfen jumping out of a Land Raider. I'm interested.
But didn't they say that it's Terminators only that can charge when they get out, or can anything get out from a Land Raider?
Assault ramp passengers can declare a charge on the turn they disembark.
Oh, wow. Excuse me.
And a Centurion takes up 3 spaces in a repulsor.
And also everybody can get in everything now. That's the other thing they said about Marines.
Yes.
Because the idea that some vehicles had seats built for Primaris Marines and Tactical Marines couldn't sit in them was great.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. But I don't know how, if a Land Raider, 10 Terminators have fit in Land Raiders before, right?
Actually, yes. I know that to be true.
So then you could shove 6 Centurions in a Land Raider, move it out, and then have them get out and charge.
You could have them get out and shoot and then charge.
Yeah. Just, I don't know.
And they could get out and they could shoot and charge into something that they have full rerolls against, because that's what Space Marines do now.
Yeah, that's disgusting. All right.
Moving right along. Go ahead.
Only other new things, some new miniatures. There's a new Tyranid Prime with wings.
Hold on, Billy. We've messed up. We haven't done this yet.
What's new?
We did top story, but we hadn't actually moved on. No. So what's new?
Everything we talked about for the last 10 minutes, and the Tyranid Prime got a new miniature. Had it had miniatures before? I'd never seen a Tyranid Prime before on the table. I wouldn't.
I don't think it's Tyranid Primes exist, but they don't have wings today, I believe.
Okay. Well, now they do.
I didn't actually look, and it could be that their wing model is like Forge World, and I don't know about it. So I apologize if I'm wrong. But yes, the Tyranid Prime exists, but he does not have wings today.
As a bug person, is this something that excites you?
The concept, I hate the model.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
Okay.
I think he kind of looks like a bat the way he's moving his wings. Sure. I'm not into that. I just don't think it looks good. Like, I'm a big Tyranid fan. I love the it's the style, the design strategy. I don't know, the philosophy. I don't know. I like almost all the Tyranid models. I think they're all great. This one, the minute I saw it, I was like, meh. But one of the things that happens to me is that GW paints it, and then other people buy it and paint it, and then I like it. Yeah. So that could be what's going to happen here.
Okay. So that got previewed, and then just the other 40K thing to mention on Sunday: a World Eater patrol, 10 jackals, 20 berserkers, and Lord on Pig. If you want to start a World Eater army, that's a box that you'll want to pick up.
But no 8-pound.
What? No 8-pound.
No 8-pound.
No. So you'll have to buy those, but you get the rest.
I don't even know what those look like now that I think about it out loud.
I've seen them pretty. So aesthetic, I think, was the word you were looking for with Tyranids. I'm a big fan of the World Eater aesthetic. I like it a lot. If I hadn't, basically bought an entirely new Space Wolf army, I probably would have bought an entirely new World Eater army. But yeah, they're sweet.
Right before your baby's born is a great time to spend a lot of money on 40K, so that makes sense.
I really I need to get my apartment minimally more cleaned up so there's space for me to paint, because legitimately, when you're waking up at 2 a.m. and you don't feel like going right back to sleep, you could do a few layers of paint. Just to be nice. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, that's everything that's new.
Okay.
What's winning?
What's winning? I am going to show vulnerability to the audience. I am having a rough time right now. I did not sleep well last night, much less than Billy. Much significant. I'm nowhere near what Billy's dealing with, but I did not do my homework. So I'm going to cover 2 tournaments now that I have not looked at before. And so you guys will get to see me see the list for the first time, which might be fun. I might be surprised. Don't know. I actually didn't even look at who won these things yet. So Here we go. Colin seeing tournaments for the first time is our jam now. First up is Mayhem GT 2023 from Mebane, North Carolina, I'm going to guess. 113 players, 5 round. Good job, North Carolina. That's great. 113 players, 5 rounds is pretty baller. Okay. So it was won by Kyle Treya, and Kyle was playing Chaos Demons. Ooh, well, we know that they're good, right? So this is a Chaos Undivided list. It has a Bloodthirster, a Lord of Change, and Transweaver. I love being a Lord of Change model. Super great. Much cooler than the Tyrannid Prime. 10 Bloodletters. Yep. Punch things. 2 units of 10 Demonettes. The Demonettes, I think, are undervalued in Demon by a lot of Demons players. They're very good. Like they for 120 points, they punch really well. They can stand on a thing. They're relatively fast. They have an instrument. Like they're good. Like they're good. 3 Nurglings, 10 Pink Horrors. Pink Horrors are amazing. That's what Chuck's lists are built around. Is the idea that for 140 points you get a unit that people can't really kill unless they overcommit. Like you really need to shoot 1,000,000 shots or punch them a bunch of times, because otherwise they just split and they just get bigger and bigger. And as long as there's a pink, that whole unit has obsec, so it reaches out and touches your objectives while you're shooting it, which is dumb. I hate it. 3 Fiends. Fiends are extremely hot right now. People love them. And then 2 units of 5 Flamers, and then 3 units of 5 Fleshhounds. So all the fire. That's a very common standard list from what we've seen for the lovely people of Demons. But great job to Kyle. Good job. Okay. Second place is Dark Angels. Shocking. This must be no data slate, I wonder.
Hard to say. Well, no, given his army, probably no data slate.
Let's see if the overview says. Rules cut off April 1st.
Yeah, so no data slate.
Yeah, okay. Well, that explains why second place has Ezekiel, Interrogator, Chaplain, Ravenloom, Talamaster. So that's interesting. A lot of people don't take Ezekiel. Command squad of Terminators, 3 units of 10 Terminators with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers and Missile Launchers. An Apothecary and a Terminator Assault Squad of another 10 Terminators. So this is 10, 20, 30, 42 Terminators. Yep. Okay. But I'm not going to say a lot about that. It's just not.
We've talked about it to death, and it doesn't really exist as much anymore.
It doesn't exist as in the same way anymore. But I do want to comment that the person who played it is Jamie Beaton. And Jamie is coming to Charity Hammer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Good job, Jamie. I don't know if he listens to the show, but good job. Third place is very surprising for me. Robert Hawkins brought himself a Death Guard list. And the reason I say that's surprising to me, I think Death Guard have never stopped being solid. Like, you know what I mean, Billy? Like, they've never been trash to me, in my mind. They've always been, I have this thing that's super durable, it scores points well, I'm going to trod towards you. Trod, that's not a word, but it sounds great.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Did I use it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good job, Colin. Since I couldn't come up with aesthetic earlier, I'm going to take that as a win. Yeah. So he's got 10, 20, 30 Plague Marines, 14 and 10 Poxwalkers, the Biologus Putrefier, the Foul Blight Spawn on the Tallyman. I love the names of characters in Chaos. And of course, the Fotid Bloat Drone, and 2 Plague Burst Crawlers, and a Rhino, and Morty. This is a pretty standard Death Guard list, but from a while ago, from like previous rules of the game. But Plague Marines get a crazy amount of stuff for their points. Yeah. Morty's always good. This is a really strong list with literally no disrespect intended to Robert Hawkins of any kind. I would imagine that his win path skipped a few really bad matchups, would be my guess. Yeah. Just because it's Death Guard, not because Robert is not a good player. I'm sure he's an amazing player. And fourth place is a guard player. And that guard player's name is Jeremy Knox, a longtime 40K player. What used to be a patron of the show. I don't know if he still is. Sorry. But yeah, great guy. And he has a guard list with Deathcore Marshal. We're seeing him in every guard list now. He's just really cheap, gives orders, and can stand on things. For 35 points, it's silly not to take him. Solar, everybody takes that. Tank Commander, everybody takes that. Shockingly, he has Gatekeeper. That's just the tank that is an HQ these days. Only 10 Cadians, which is a different approach from what we've seen other people do. 3 units of Carsicans. He did Laz in all of them, like John Lennon and I talked about last week. We like having one of them have the Plasma and the Melta because you're not going to get to do the stratagem on all 3 of them. 3 individual Scout Sentinels for table control. 2 units of 3 mortars, 3 tanks, 3 Russes, and then it looks like a Scion detachment. The Scion Command Squad with the banner, the Finial. I don't know why people take that one instead of the good one, unless it's HQ slots. I don't know. Not the good one. Sorry. I don't know why they take that one instead of the standard Command Squad. I don't actually know what the flippity floppity is there. What you get that you don't get with the normal Command Squad. And then 3 units of Science. What were you going to say, Billy?
I just wanted to be clear that you were saying why did they take the Tempestus Command Squad versus the normal Command Squad, not the Finial of Nemrodish versus the other relic.
Oh, no. Everybody's going to take the Finial forever, even post-Dataslate.
Okay.
The Dataslate change for the Finial, they changed the wrong thing.
Okay.
They did exactly the opposite of what they needed to do on changing it. Next up is the Radical.
You forgot one part of his list.
What's that?
He brought an Aegis defense line.
He did?
Yeah, sitting right there, 40 points.
That's weird. It's only 40 points?
That's what it says on this list.
Wow, I'm not okay with any of that. Okay, cool. All right, Billy, you have to what's the word?
Vamp?
Yes, you have to vamp for a moment. I have to de-allergy. I'll be back.
Okay. And we all know how good I am at off-the-cuff vamping. So the thing that jumps out at me there, and just for the people who listen to this show who don't play religiously, that Death Guard army, you really have to have Plague Marines come close to you 1 or 2 times to realize how painful that is. There's a reason. The reason that army can work is that, dear God, those things hurt when they get close, especially in a post-Armor of Contempt world, because they have a lot of 1 and 2 AP. And now that does work, ouch, our flails painful.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I'm back. Good job vamping.
Welcome back.
So now we're going to talk about the Radicalism 2023 from Ballarat East in Australia. 88 players that went 6 rounds. And the first person, whose name is, nope, that's Kyle. That's from the previous tournament. Matt Morrisoli. So Matt is just better than everybody else. So we'll talk about his list, but he's just better than everybody else. He's not, and then there's he's not Lathuris, who just plays things that no one understands and beats everyone with it. But Matt is extremely good. So congrats to Matt for winning. He also had demons. One of the interesting things is that demons didn't get touched in the data slate, and I think that that's actually a really big deal when you pulled other people out of the S tier. You're like it was like Iron Hands, Guard, Dark Angels, and Demons were the S tier, and then Dark Angels are like, never mind, we'll be back later, and they leave, and then they made Iron Hands slightly worse. Not really. I mean, they changed the secondary that Iron Hands were mainly scoring, and then they took Guard and made small changes to them that does affect them, and then they're like, never mind, Demons, you're fine. So. Bloodthirster, Fate Skimmer, Scarbrand, Transweaver. That's a completely normal HQ for demons. Demonettes. Sounds like Matt Morselli and I agree. Nurglings and then Pink Horror. Sounds like we agree. Five Fiends. And by the way, I just read Blissbringer as Pissbringer, which would be a much different person. 3 Flamers, 5 Fleshhounds, 5 Fleshhounds, 5 Fleshhounds. So pretty standard demons list. Yeah, basically. I don't have a lot more to say about that, Billy.
Did I just space out on the Nurglings and Pink Horrors? You saying those?
No, I said it. Yeah.
Okay, I spaced. That's fine.
Second place is Stuart Trainer. And Stuart rocked himself some GSC. I forgot GSC in the S tier. I apologize greatly. I don't know if GSC have fallen out of the S tier. I don't know. I think the secondary change was a really big deal. I don't know if that's enough. They're extremely good. They are fast. They hold the table well. Their main thing that they're doing damage with is massive amounts of dudes that are OBSEC. They have all types of jank and tricks. They can shoot you. Like, GSC is just incredible. So he has a Patriarch, which is a little unusual. Lots of people don't take the Patriarch. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Acolytes. 5 Acolytes each. 3 units of 20 Neophytes, Kelomorph, Nexus, 10 Pure Strain Gene Stillers, Reductus, Sanctus, 3 Rock Grinders, 2 Trucks. This is actually the new version of this list that we're starting to see. Instead of having 80 or 100 Neophytes, it takes some vehicles. I like that the vehicles have shooting. I've actually played a list like this with Trucks and Rock Grinders. They're really neat and extremely fun, and it's shocking how much they don't die sometimes. When people are just like shooting at them and they're like, nah, don't want to this time. All right, third place is Jason Horn. He has a list that I haven't seen before. He played Tyranids? Really? Good for him. Wow. I'm so happy about that. What do we got here? Leviathan. Okay, we've certainly all seen Leviathan before. 2 Hive Tyrants. I'm going to guess this is post-Dataslate, but I don't know that. 2 Flyrants. I think they both have wings. Yep, they both have wings. And then, actually, do either of them have wings?
Neither of them are listed as having wings.
Neither of them have wings. 2 Walkrants. And then a Turvagon. Super hard to kill. Very neat. 10 Hormigons, just to do stuff. 30 Termagants. 3 Talent Guard, a Lictor. A unit of Zonethropes, 4 of them. 2 Carnifexes walking around with their stupid heavy venom cannon that's dumb, and 2 Harpies. So, yeah, Harpies is surprising because they're a flyer. The flyer's got, pooed on. But, yeah, good job, Jason Horn. Fourth place is Matt Jackson, and he himself brought Knights, it looks like, which is fascinating because it said he took Sisters on the list. So I'm just going to make sure that I have the right person.
Yeah, it's the BCP drop down. The first thing on there is Adaptus Sororitas. And if you don't,
I have to be honest, Billy, I'm disappointed. I was super hype about getting to this Sisters list that I hadn't seen. Okay, so Knights. Despite my lack of enthusiasm for Knights, I will congratulate Matt Jackson, who I'm sure played them great. He went 5-1 with them and scored over 95 in every win and 70 in his lost. So that's pretty baller. Good job. This is a Freebase Lance. It has 3 units of 3 Helverins. It looks like he took the same gear on all of them, the heavy stubber gear. And then he's got a knight errant with many, many words. I'm going to presume that's the errant that makes everybody go really fast. And then a Moirox with the lightning locks. Yeah, it is the one that makes it go fast. So, congrats, knights. They're okay. Someone told me no king shaming. I'm really hoping that the piss bringer is not what the king is that I'm shaming.
That just makes me think of the piss boy, and then it's good to be the king. And if you don't know what that is, children, go watch History of the World Part 1. And I hear good things
there's
about
Part
History
2
of
as
the
a
World
TV
Part 2.
series now.
I hear broadly good things, not to the level of 1, and it's it's up and down, but that there's some goodness in there. It's on my list.
I watched it's really just a sketch comedy show. I watched the first episode, and my wife hated it to such a degree that I realized I'd have to watch it alone. So that hasn't happened yet. By the way, Jason would like to know if you had one final game of Ninth, what list would be fun?
When we get not this event, but the next one that I talk about, Ed Watts's Space Wolves list is very, very close.
Cool. Great. Let me say a couple things before you take off, Billy.
Yeah.
Take off before you run forward into lists and your Micro Machines voice. So I do want to comment that if you like this, like and subscribe would be great. Reviews on the podcast places really help us. Please do what you can to find us. We'd really, really, really appreciate that. And make sure other people know who we are. We'd appreciate that as well. I also want to point out that there's a team tournament in early June, which is probably, in my estimate, weeks before 10th edition comes out. My friends and I are going to it, and I am playing Eldar. I am not playing Eldar because it's the best thing I can take. I am playing Eldar because I love Eldar, and I want to play them one more time in 9th edition. That's why. So, yeah. I am all in on 9th edition ending, but I'm gonna take my Eldar out for at least one more ride. I might get to go to the tournament this weekend, but I'm not gonna make any promises because I've had to ditch a number of tournaments due to my current real life situations. Billy,
yes,
who we got? What we got? What's going on?
So the Grand Clash 2023 Warhammer GT in Three Rivers, but in French. Canada. Trois Rivieres. You kicked me out. Where'd I go?
I didn't mean to.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, I'm back. Three Rivers, Canada, except in French. And you know how you said it's not the best thing you can bring, but it's something that would give you fun? Francois Lalonde's Iron Hands here is the list that I've seen this week that I think is the best. Just going to call that shot. Iron Hand successors. It has a lieutenant, a tech marine, 2 units of 5 infiltrators, the Volcon that can, kill a warlord titan, 5 scouts in a storm, 5 van vets, 3 tornadoes, 3 units of 5 desolation marines, 2 units of 5 devastators with grav and a multi-melt each and a drop pod. The math out of that is horrific. It has the ability to get angles. With Dark Angels slightly going away, I think this is probably the best Marines build. And I think being on the other side of that army would be horrifying for everyone. That is my take on that. Do you have any thoughts on Iron Hands? My math is just mean to you.
Esther.
Yeah.
Iron Hands just blow the crap out of you. I think in the team event, most teams that I'm going to, I think most teams will have it.
Yeah.
We'll have them. I think it's interesting, the Pacific Northwest team event, which if you were nearby and you don't know, Olympia has a team event the first weekend in June. A lot of us are going. I think there's 9 5-man teams or 10. No, I think there's more than that, like 11 5-man teams already registered. If you think about it, that's like 50 something people. So that's not small. It's going to be a great time. Go find some friends, sign up. If you can reach out to Chase, who's running the event. If you need help finding people, you can reach out to me. I'll help you find people. But yeah, team tournaments, amazing. Most fun you'll have. Go to it. And then, sorry, I'm interrupting you with this, Billy. I forgot to say it earlier. Mm-hmm. And when my brain thinks of it, I have to say it or it's gone. But the Kansas City team event is also the same weekend. And I'm confident that almost every list will have Iron Hands. I know that Art of War is taking a team that will just win. And I'm sure they have Iron Hands in their list. Maybe played by John Lennon if I had to call my shot.
Yeah. That army just, it has all of the tools and tricks and speed, and the shooting out of it would just be horrific. Anyway, second place, Jeremy Atkinson with Dark Angels. I'm guessing that this was actually was a Dataslate tournament, because Dark Angels, but only 20 Deathwing Terminators, not
It's still so many.
It's still so many, but it's not all the way there. Interrogator Chaplain, Captain Talon Master, 5 Infiltrators, an Ancient, the aforementioned 20 Terminators with an Apothecary, 2 Tornadoes, and 3 5s of Desolation Marines. I really hope if you wanted Desolation Marines, you bought them a couple of weeks ago, because you want a lot of them. But great job, Jeremy. That's a little bit more of a real army compared to the one that we talked about up at the Mayhem, which is just 40 Terminators because they screwed up with a data sheet.
42.
42, yeah. So good job there. John Russell brought Guard in third place.
I do want to make a shout out that Jeremy Atkinson's a longtime supporter of the podcasts of our network. Also, he's from StatCheck.
Yes.
So shout out for StatCheck.
Yeah, he and Francois, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know the Francois was part of it.
Let me double check that, because I have.
No, you don't need to. It's fine.
But I am 90% certain that they were both StatCheck. Yep, StatCheck.
Okay.
So Francois, good job.
Great guy, by the way.
Francois or Jeremy, or both?
Both, but Francois as well.
Okay, I've never met him, I don't believe. John Russell, third place, Guard. Same thing we were seeing. Death Corps Marshal, Lord Solar, Tank Commander.
If it's the same thing, you don't need to go through it, Billy.
Yeah. What does he have? There's a Torax. Sly Marbo. Sly Marbo showed up in a couple of Guard lists I saw this week.
He's really inexpensive. He deep strikes for free. He's relatively good in combat. He can hide. Like, he's just a general, like, cheap things that do stuff are a really valuable part of 9th edition, and I think that's what he's basically doing.
Plus, you get to play with Rambo, and that's just sweet.
Yeah. Yep. He's got a cigar, I think, which is great.
Yeah. And then in fourth place, Eric Marcoux with Imperial Knights.
By the way, are you at all curious why 38,000 years in the future, people are still on the nicotine? Like, do you think they figured out how to make cigars that don't kill you, or do you think that maybe he has developed a tolerance to it? Like, I think it's weird. I think it's strange that we're still doing this.
No vices in the grim dark future really surprised me. I'm sure in the lore it's some Death World super cigar that would char the lungs of an average human. But
if he was a Space Marine, I would just say that his biological enhancements, one of them was to allow him to smoke nicotine. Maybe Sly's getting high. Maybe it's a blunt. Maybe he's getting high as he kills people. All right, let's move on. I think we've spent enough time on that.
Eric Marcoux, fourth place with Imperial Knights. Errant Crusader, 7 dogs of a variety. You're either seeing 2 bigs in 7 or 1 big in 10 for Imperial. He did the 2 and 7. Moving on to the next event. Out of the Furnace 4, Return to Firestorm in Cardiff, Wales. This first place is Ed Watts with basically the army that I would be playing going forward. Space Wolves, Bike Captain, Bike Chaplain, Lieutenant, 3 5s of Van Vets that are Wolf Guard and Space Wolves, because same thing though. Lightning Claw and Melta mostly. You can do, depending on points, you can do different things for the melee weapon there. But
are you talking about Sky Claws?
No, I'm talking about Wolf Guard Van Vets.
Okay.
In Space Wolves, Van Vets are called Wolf Guard.
That's fine. I just missed what you said.
No, yep. I will get to the next 3 units of 6 Sky Claws with the loadout that you do, because 110 points is dumb for that unit. He's got a Thunderhammer, Power Fist, and 4 Melta Guns, and 6 dudes. And then 2 units of 5 Wolfen, who really are quite amazing in that army. Speaking of things that are amazing in that army, and the way you do Desolation Marines and Space Wolves is 1 big unit, because you put keen senses on them and then they take no penalties for anything. And it's wonderful. And then Ed takes 2 Long Fangs. They are all Grav, and they have a Terminator with them. So it's 6 models. just sort of walking around, maybe coming in off the side of the board or just cutting some angles. My personal take is a less optimized version that has the third Wolfen and another character instead of the long things, because I hate shooting and being a good and intelligent player. I just want to punch people in the face. So that's your answer, Jason. Second place, we had J.C. Seaburn with Dark Angels. Again, a much more well-rounded list. Apothecary, Azrael, Bike Chaplain, and Talon Master. 5 Blade Guard veterans. I guess he bought the line and was just inspired to put them back in his army.
Yeah.
They never got bad. They just sort of...
Those are one of my favorite Space Marine models.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really neat. They're actually the reason I went back to playing Marines, sort of. I was playing everything else, and John Lennon, the beginning of Dance, John Lennon was like, hey, White Scars are crazy and you're going to love them. And so I was like, okay, I already own a lot of Marines from 20 years ago. Let's give it a go. And I played White Scars, and the reason I went to them is the way Vanguard vets with Lightning Claw Storm Shield look, and the way Blade Guard look. I looked at the models, and I'm like, this army looks cool. I'm going to play it. And then I found out that the leader's bird gets to attack people, which is like my favorite thing. Okay, I'm good. Affectionately talking about White Scars, who I miss deeply.
Yeah.
If they had just left the plasma interceptors so broken after the points change, I would be playing White Scars right now.
I think many more people would as well, but we don't live in that world. We live in a world where Jay also 2 units of 5 Deathwing Terminators, so only 10 total Terminators in his list. 5 Black
The reality
Knights.
is that they're still good.
Yeah.
After the Dataslate change. You just don't want to take 30 of them anymore.
Yeah. 5 Black Knights, which I know are near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
2 units of 3 multi-multi attack bikes. He brought a Dark Shroud.
Sure.
Okay. And then 2 units of 5.
That's the -1 Aura Line Speeder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. It's that one. It's not the plane. What's the plane called?
Dark Talon.
Dark Talon. Okay. How could I possibly?
I like this because this is one of the few armies I know the vocab words for.
Yeah. How could I possibly confuse a Dark Shroud and a Dark Talon? They're
I don't know.
just so clearly. And as I said, the 2 5s of Desolations, because they're
not to be confused with Death Shrouds.
Yeah. The random name generator of GW. Andrew Lewis brought Guard third place. His thing was he brought 3 units of combat engineers, 16 in total, 5, 5, and 6.
Yep.
Just
those guys deep strike. They come in and they do actions, but if you do want them to do damage, they can do some good damage.
Yeah. So that otherwise it's the same army: Sentinels, Kazarkins, tanks, mortars. Speaking of the same army, Luke Quadling brought Guard again. What did he do that was interesting? He brought 30 Scions in the main detachment. He didn't do a separate Scion detachment.
Interesting.
And he did have 5 Rough Riders.
Okay.
But yeah, his was a much more infantry based. Only 4 total tanks and like 90 dudes on foot. That looks about right. It's a lot of dudes on foot. So that is the Out of the Furnace 4. And let's do one more event because we have time. Unless there's something you want to talk about.
Well, I mean, I could talk forever.
Well, that's true. That's why we love you. All right, but let's talk about War Calls 2023 in Kelmscott, Australia. Won by Jordan Beresford with Genestealer Cult. Jordan brought 35 Acolytes in 2 units of 10 and 3 units of 5, 100 Neophytes, 7 Pure Strain Genestealers, 10 Bikes, a Goliath, and as far as I can tell, every type of character he's allowed. There are a lot of characters in the Genestealer Cult list.
There are.
Yeah.
Like half the data sheets in that book are characters. That's one of the things we laughed about as my Tyranid group. We love the Genestealer Cult, and they're like, "You guys get a new model for 9th," and we're like, "Yes!" And they're like, "And it's a character," and we're like, "Okay, come on now, don't troll us."
Yeah, it makes reading lists interesting because which one is this one versus that one? How many arms do they have? I can't.
I think if that was a test, I could rock it hard, except when you get to the Clamavis, who does like 6 things, and I maybe could name 2 of them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, that one I think should just be a clam. I can normally figure out like where they're going with names. Clamovis, I'm just not sure what like the etymology of that one is. Anyway, Craig Sumpton, Chaos Demons, Bloodthirster, Scarbrand, Fate Skimmer, Transweaver, 40 Demonettes, 10 Pinks, 3/3 and 5 Fiends, 5/5 Fleshhounds.
How original. No, it's fine.
There aren't
Good
a
job.
ton of data sheets. These are the right ones.
Yeah, right. It's another book that's like, here's the data sheets. These ones are good. Okay, I'll take those ones then.
Basically, just don't take the Nurgle stuff and you're doing fine.
Yeah, right. I also don't think that the keepers are good, which is sad because their models are really dope.
And I own two of them and then a bunch of the old metal crab ones. Connor Ockwell brought Orcs in third place. Goffs, Beast Boss on Squig, Bike Boss, Zagstruck, 20 Beast Nagas, 20 Gretchen, 5 and 5 Commandos, 10 Truck Boy Knobs, 15 Pig Riders in 3 units of 5, 30 Storm Boys, 2 wagons and a truck, very fast Orc army. Like even more than your normal. Like nothing in there moves slowly.
So for me, Orcs are A+ tier. Or not really S-. So for those that haven't been watching our shows for a long time, the way our network talks about tiers, S tier means that in an equal skilled game on any terrain at the tournament, on any mission at the tournament, going first or second, you have a good shot. You have a chance to win, like a reasonable chance to win. The idea of that is what we're saying is, if you have a bad matchup for your list that you cannot perform against, you are not S tier. That's a way of thinking about it. So if you think about the S tier, right? Iron Hands, Gene Stealer Colt, Guard, those are all armies that can play and beat anyone, right? Orcs are incredibly strong, but there are just armies they don't want to deal with. Yeah. And so because of that, they get to be A tier, but they're winning and they're doing really well because even when you play an army like Orcs, you might just miss the people that are a problem, or they might be significantly worse than you, right? So there you go. That's my Orc talk.
Tons of tools for Orcs. I like Connor's army. That's a good one. And then in fourth place, as has happened quite a bit, more Imperial Knights. Callum German brought an errant.
The definition of a list that beats a whole bunch of people and then has bad matchups.
Yeah. Errant, 4 Moirax, 3 Helverins, 3 Warglaives.
Okay.
And then the last event we're going to talk about is the Frontier Open at Cheyenne Gaming Convention in Cheyenne, Wyoming, a town that I have been to. Cheyenne, I'm sorry, but you are an intersection. There is nothing more to your city. Prove me wrong. Invite me there and prove me wrong.
You're not going to go. You have a baby.
I don't know. I might go back.
I've got what, 5 months to convince you to come to Charity Hammer. Like, they're not going to convince you.
That has a much better shot of happening now with the baby showing up as early as she did. But we'll figure it out at that point. First place, mostly because I want to talk about the third place army at this. First place is Colin K.
September 14 to 17 is when Charity Hammer is, everybody. Go ahead, Billy.
Okay. Colin K. brought Black Legion because it lets you take Abaddon and make him awesome with a Dark Apostle, Master Possession Sorcerer, 20 Cultists.
And bikes?
9 bikes. 9 bikes.
Yeah.
10 rubrics.
Okay, weird.
They're taking a Multi-Melter Contemptor. I'm seeing that.
How can you have rubrics in a black, whatever, keep going.
You can take them.
Okay. Well, rubrics are 1,000 Suns, right?
Yeah, but you can take the Cult Marines in regular legions.
Oh, okay.
And my main practice partner is doing something that just, hey, Chaos Marine players, put Plague Marines in Word Bearers and give them the Trans-Hitman thing. They don't die. Moving on. Second place, Cody Jiru, an army that you will enjoy, Colin, because it's Ulfway. He brought a Bike Warlock, Asherman, Baharoth, and Eldrad, along with a Bike Seer.
Jesus.
Yeah.
800 points of characters. 700 points.
Yeah. 5 Rangers, 16 Dire Avengers, 10 and 6, 10 Banshees, 2 Wraith Lords with double Scatter Laser, 3 Shrouds.
What is even happening right now?
Yeah, 3 Shroud Runners, 6 Warp Spiders, 3 Decans, a Wave Serpent. All right. Okay. Third place, Matt Evans brought Admech. Matt Evans brought Matt Evans bought a Ryza AdMech army.
He's a Tyranid player. What's he doing?
Matt Evans bought a Ryza AdMech army with 8 Dragoons, 4 Laz chickens, and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay. Weird.
8 Dragoons. Look, have you ever actually played against the Dragoons? They are way better than the meme status they have.
Oh, no, they're great.
Yeah, and the models are beautiful, and I wish it wasn't like $2 per point to field that army.
Right.
Because I wish we saw more of that. They, I think, are the coolest models in 40K, in my opinion.
So I just want to say, Matt Evans is a Charity Hammer person. He's coming again this year. Amazing human being. One of my favorites. One of the people I've known the longest in competitive 40K, actually. Here's the thing. Matt is a Tyranid player. Matt makes YouTube videos about being a Tyranid player. So this is fascinating. And I will absolutely be messaging him to learn more.
Yeah. Let me not overlook the fact there were 20 Electro Priests in that army as well.
Yeah, there were. Of course there were. Yeah. Were they jazz hands?
I think so. I don't know the wording on them well enough to tell you, but that was, I recall, blah, blah, blah. This can be the last thing we talk about, is if they were jazz handsy Electro Priests. They had Electroleech staves.
Okay. So let's, in the final few minutes, let's make random calls that will be wrong about what our teams are picking in the first round of the NFL draft in 2 days.
Well, mine is easy. The Niners don't have a first round draft pick. We would have to trade Trey Lance. That is actually getting more buzz than I would have thought. I would support that. I hope he has a good career. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be with the Niners.
Okay. I think we're going to trade up from 5 and take a quarterback, Billy.
Think you need to trade up to do it?
Yeah, well, for sure we do.
Okay.
Unless something happens in the top 4 that changes it, like someone else trades up. Right now, there's 3. I think there's 3 good quarterbacks, and I think there's 3.
Okay, who do you not like?
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, he would be my number 1 pick.
Oh, okay, good for you. Being big and strong and not playing any football and not being accurate is not what I want from a quarterback. If the Seahawks take him, I'll be like, sure, that's great. And I'll be all in, because it will mean that John Schneider and Pete Carroll, who both know a million times more about football than me, think he's great, and I'd love to watch him. But I suspect he's not actually good. I also don't think that Jalen Carter is probably worth it. But if we stay at 5, that's who I think we're taking. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Betting markets overnight are suggesting Will Levis will be taken number 1, which I find interesting, because he would actually be the 4th one that I would take of the quarterbacks. Okay.
Interesting. Well, there's a lot of stuff this week that CJ Stroud might not be as good of a pick as people think he is. So, okay. A little bit on the NFL draft for those that care. This is the highest draft pick the Seahawks have had in a long time, and we're all excited. I'm going to watch live with my oldest. We're excited about it. We're talking about making some popcorn. Our microwave doesn't make popcorn, Billy, so we have to come up with another solution.
I didn't know we have that don't have a popcorn button.
And so it's not that it doesn't have a popcorn button. It's that it cannot do microwavable popcorn. So this is not a thing I've run into before, and I'm just going to keep talking because whatever. So this is not a thing I've run into before. It is a convection microwave.
Okay.
Which means that it operates differently from a normal microwave.
Yeah.
And all it does is set the popcorn thing ablaze. We've had this experience. So we cannot microwave popcorn in our home, which is not a thing that I expected when we moved in. So I was tempted to buy, remember the ones you put on the stovetop with the metal handle?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to go grab some of those and use them for draft night. And then my kid looked at it and he's like, what is this? And I'm like, if you think that's silly, let's go see if they sell popcorn makers here.
Popcorn is just always, no one is ever upset when popcorn shows up. Popcorn is great.
I have the old fashioned, you've seen it, I think.
Probably.
At Cherry Hammer, we used it. I have the big old fashioned cart with the wheels that makes popcorn, and I have that because when we moved in, we're like, we have all this space. How much is this? And Amazon's like $140, and I'm like, but the problem with it is you have to clean it every time. So the commitment to cleaning it may not be inside of me between now and the draft.
That's fair. That's fair. But popcorn sounds good, and I wish you the best of luck with your pick.
No, you don't.
I wish you the best of luck with your pick. I hope
Me
he fails
specifically,
miserably.
I don't get to pick. They're not letting me choose it, which is great, by the way.
Yeah,
That's like when people say, so you don't like to be a passenger in cars? And I'm like, no, not really. I get a little motion sick. I prefer to drive. They're like, in airplanes too? And I'm like, well, in an airplane, I know that I don't know how to fly it. So I'm happy that the expert is flying it, and I don't have the same concern.
That's fair. On that happy note, I have to go see if my baby needs more milk.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll be back next Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., just like we always are, 7 a.m. Pacific. I want to thank Billy for coming, even though he did not sleep. I want to thank everybody for listening. And I want to say that he's Billy and I'm Colin. You know why I'm calling Billy?
Because you have to be.
That's right, because someone has to be.
Yep.
We'll be back next week, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.